I have a very unique piece of birch here. This was given to me by Brad, a friend who was a member of our Woodturners Guild and has since moved to Texas. I hope he's doing well, but I don't have any contact information to thank him for this. So, Brad, if you happen to see this, thank you. I think this could be something quite interesting. And what makes it interesting is the fact that it has an unbelievable number of holes in here from woodpeckers. I've never seen anything quite like this before. I've been trying to figure out for a couple of years now what I'm going to do with this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it lengthwise in half, and I'm going to try to make a natural edge bowl out of it, out of one side of it anyway. I hope the bark will hang in there. So I'm going to take it over to the bandsaw, cut it in half, then I'm going to use a Forstner bit to drill a hole deep enough for my chuck to go into it. I'll use a 2 1/8 inch Forstner bit, and I'm going to mount it on the lathe and see what I can come up with. So I hope you'll stick around and watch. Brad has obviously had this on a lathe before. Now, normally I would not push a log through this way without putting it on my sled. But because of these spots, it should ride flat enough without rolling that I should be able to do this safely. Well, let's find out if that's true. I have the bit centered as well as I can, and I just want to drill this deep enough for the jaws of the chuck to be well into the wood and not the bark. Still a little ways to go. All right, I believe that's going to be gripping wood well enough. Well, no, actually I don't. Go another 1/8 of an inch or so. All right, I think I'm ready to put the jaws to this. I had to take a chisel and remove some of the bark and even some of the wood because they were at different heights until I could get my jaws to fit in there and know they're going to seat well. Now, on this end, there seems to be a couple of places where the bark is not real tight. This one seems just fine. So I'm just going to take some thin CA glue, dribble it in there, and hope that it will run down between the wood and the bark, just to support it a little bit for when I'm turning. So I'll take care of this, and then I'll meet you over at the lathe. First thing I want to do is use my 2 1/8 inch Forstner bit to make a recess for the chuck jaws when I reverse this. Turning this at 250 RPM. I don't like to overheat the bits. All right, 1/8 of an inch deep. I think I'll just go another 1/16. And that should be plenty. Someone was asking me recently why I like to use a recess and put the jaws in compression mode instead of using a foot and using compression. Did I say expansion? Expansion instead of compression. The reason is when I reverse this into this area, put the chuck in here, it's going to be finished and I won't have to reverse it again to clean up the foot. So that's my reasoning for that. I have my live center up here for a little support, just in case it comes loose. It's not even touching it right now, but if it does come loose, I don't want it flying right off of here. I'm going to start turning this 750 RPM. Appears to be holding just fine, so I'm going to get this live center out of the way. I think it's time to sharpen the gouge. Alright, freshly sharpened gouge, and I've got the speed up to 2000 RPM now. Try a little bit of shear scraping, see if I can get a little bit of these ripples out of here. Yeah, that helped a lot up there. Now the same thing down here. Now I just want to take a very light skim across here to make it a little less sanding. And I'm going to sand all of this, drill the recess for my logo coin, do the pyrography, and I'll be back to show you. that's much better. I have a set of sanding blocks like these, and I've got one each for everything from 80 to 400 grit. And I started with 100 grit and worked up to 400, just doing this in as good a random orbit pattern as I could do. And it's turned out real smooth. It's just beautiful. Quite happy with this. I really like all this figure that's in here. And now I'm going to use some sanding sealer, put on 1 or 2 coats. I'll sand 400 grit after this dries, and then I will be back to put the finish on. Now I'm going to put on a finish, wipe on poly, the clear gloss, and I can't spin it to do it anywhere except on the ends, just like I couldn't use the sandpaper because I would just wreck the bark that's here. So I will apply it on these areas without spinning. I will do 2 or 3 coats, then I'll be back to show you what it looks like before I reverse it. And here is a look at the bottom after 3 or 4 coats of wipe on poly. As usual, I lost track of how many I put on, but I'm quite pleased with the way it looks. And now it's time to reverse it and do the top of the bowl. I'm ready to start churning the top of the bowl now, and the decision I have to make is how much of this bark I want to leave on. I consider this to be the focal point of this. This is going to be, I believe, just pretty much a display piece anyway, so I'm only going to take off enough to clear the area here and make a bowl inside. I do not want to go to the narrow edge of bark that you usually see on natural edges. I just think that would take a lot of the beauty of this bark away, and it is so unique. So I'll be turning this at 1000 RPM with my 3/8 inch bowl gouge. I think that's looking pretty good, and I think that's all I want from that. You may have noticed I'm making sure I'm keeping my hands on this side of the tool rest. Letting it drift over here would be like being hit by 1,000 razors. That would be a very uncomfortable thing. So I'm going to sand this, finish it, and I'll be back with the finished product. Now, I'm not an outdoorsman. I don't spend a lot of time walking through the forest, through the bush, looking at the trees. So maybe this is not unusual, but I've never seen a log like this before that's just been pounded to death by a woodpecker. So I want to thank Brad again for this. It's a really unique piece to turn. It's got some absolutely gorgeous figure and character in it. Really, really like it. I think it came out beautifully. I might be a little biased. And I want to thank you for showing up today. Hope you enjoyed this. thrill for me is I've still got half that log left, so I got to figure out what to do with this. Any suggestions are always welcome. So, thank you again for stopping by. I hope you'll come back next time. Between now and then, have a great day in your shop. Go turn something and be safe. So if you like this, click the like button, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you think it's worth it, share it with your friends. I hope I'll see you next time. Take care.